Well, it's a lovely sunny morning on what I'm calling day 3 of self-isolation. We're just out for our morning walk. Quite nice seeing the other dog owners of Auckland, of Iraqi more specifically, out and about, as well as some people going for walks. And it's a lovely morning, so that's cool. That's why I decided to do a video, because it's so nice out. See the sunlight on the trees. So yeah, day 3, feeling okay. Morning. What happened yesterday? Still no deaths in New Zealand. The confirmed cases count didn't double, but I think it was up by 30%. So yeah, it's kind of doing the exponential growth part of the curve currently. And today, day 3, is the last day of I keep forgetting the terminology, but stage 3 of the 4, emergency crisis stages. So midnight tonight is when officially everything goes into lockdown. I messaged a friend of mine who's at police college yesterday. They're all heading home, but they might get deployed in some way or another with reduced powers. So it's something I'm quite interested in, because I'm sort of going through the recruitment process for police. And what else has happened yesterday? Yesterday for me actually was a big old day of comms. So lots of people messaging and Snapchatting, read a lot of news. Actually, interestingly, I had not an interview per se, but a meeting with a recruitment company yesterday, and basically the outcome was they can't do anything for me currently. No one's hiring. But I got some quite interesting sort of information and advice from them, particularly around, and it makes sense, but once we kind of come out of this, agencies are going to take much longer to recover than companies, and in particular, people who will be flourishing will be those essential services. So the whole shutdown thing, or lockdown, is what I like to call it, a lockdown, and I feel like that's what it's officially being called. Lockdown is everybody apart from essential services, and essential services effectively are people producing food, selling food, although that excludes restaurants. So it's effectively supermarkets and dairies, and the people that make that food and get it there. Wow, so many cars down here. Might have to stop recording if it's noisy. Wow, so we're in the midst of a pandemic. It's 7:45, and there's still so much traffic on Tamaki Drive. I'm surprised. But then I actually am pretty much surprised every day during this thing. For me, it's because I am a relentless optimist, and unfortunately a bunch of negative stuff's been happening, so I go in there with my optimistic hopes and daily they're kind of dashed. Not that it's not as depressing as it sounds. I'm kind of like, oh yeah, of course. The one that got me the other day was a friend of mine overseas said, you know, when people in New Zealand start dying, blah blah blah. And for me, it kind of was more of an if than a when in my head, until that moment when I was like, oh yeah, of course, people are going to start dying. So yeah, and also, wow, I've been very what about me in all of this, and not really looked into what's happening in other countries much. I mean, aside from what you hear, you know, heaps of people have it, heaps of people are dying. So yeah, that was a good eye-opening conversation. There's another one that surprised me. I mean, the UK just announced they're going into lockdown yesterday, and I was like, what? How are they not already in lockdown? But I mean, when we announced ours, I had so many people contact me and say good on New Zealand, so you know, shouldn't be surprised. But I think that's just largely me not really thinking about anyone else's situation, which actually I've been noticing quite a lot. You know, lots of people saying they're grateful for what they have in their situation, and lots of people just saying stuff around the fact that, you know, they don't want to make it all about them, but and I do very much feel like it's a time where, because it's this big global thing, it's almost made it inappropriate to say, well, what about me? You know, the me show is not really appropriate, but it is so important that people can say, you know, and the More FM radio had a really good segment on this to say, what are you missing? Anything at all, no judgment. Let's talk about it. You know, people are mourning the loss of being able to get their eyebrows done, and that's totally legit. And people should be able to acknowledge those feelings. But I think even if you do, even if there's a forum, you still feel guilty, because it's like, I mean, this is so minor compared to what's going on here. So yeah, there's gonna be massive mental health fallout from all of this, and I think this is another sort of surprise. No, this wasn't a surprise, it was just something I hadn't thought about at all, but is horrible. Domestic violence is going to skyrocket, which is really sad as well. It's already woefully high in New Zealand, so that sucks. Yeah, what else? Also, I was just talking about essential services earlier. So yeah, supermarkets, dairies, people supplying the supermarkets and dairies, pet food providers, so basically those two put together, and our household's covered. Currently bottle stores are not in the essentials, which kind of legit. I actually feel really bad for the people who are hooked on cafe quality coffee. Super grateful that I'm not. other essential services, so police, transport providers purely for transporting food and essential, people doing essential jobs. Those are most of them from the top of my head. Basically, if you're supporting the essential services, you're good. And essential services are effectively feeding people and keeping them alive. So there's a big drama at the moment about the warehouse group want to keep their shops open, and it's just absurd. Like, that to me is just them trying to make a buck, or lots of bucks, because it's a massive store. It's going to be, a big mass congregation of people, which is exactly what we're trying to avoid. And what are they selling? What in there is actually essential? And why can't they just close their shops and have an online shopping facility, which they already have? So there's a petition flying around for that one, so I don't know if they'll manage to stay open. I hope not, because it kind of eliminates the point of this. We're trying to snuff it out early, or contain it early, so that we've only got, they say 4 weeks, but realistically it's gonna, I won't be surprised if it's longer. So in my head I'm bargaining on 6 weeks of this pretty intense lockdown, and then in that time hopefully we'll get things under control, and then go back to reduced measures, and get a bit more movement and freedom. Jobs might start opening up. What else? I think, wow, look at that car. Country. Come on. That car's got a lot of work done on it. People have been flooding look at that. People have been flooding your Bunnings and Mitre 10 and DIY stores and stuff, so it's actually quite unfortunate in my situation that I'm the one unemployed, which leaves me feeling quite despondent, and like I'm not up to much, whereas Ro's working, and he's the sort of person who would thrive with a 4-week holiday at home. So it's going to test a lot of people, and test us all as communities in a country, and it was really awesome. So I hopped on Neighbourly. I was going to, with the intention to post and offer primarily tech support. In my mind I had older people who don't know how to keep in touch with their family remotely, and their family's no longer available to help them out, providing them with tech support, and then also I put on there as well, can also fetch your groceries and walk your dog. So I went on to post that, and there's a whole section of Neighbourly, and I've talked to a few people, and there's whole neighbourhoods banding together, like down in Christchurch. There's a cool community group, and you register and say what you have on offer and what you need and things like that. So it's really cool, all of the stuff that's going on. We'll get the view. Yeah, it's very nice. So yeah, there's going to be some really nice silver linings as we go along. Obviously, all in all, it's a dreadful situation, but you've got it. As I said before, I'm an optimist, so I'm going to do my best to stay optimistic.